Good morning and welcome to my little world. Today we're going to take a tour of my newly refurbished bakery. It's finally finished, and I'll put a link in the description of the other video that I did about the bakery when it was under construction. So I'm really pleased with it. I'm super pleased about this sign that I made yesterday, which I think just really makes the whole building. So I made this sign in a similar way to the one I made for the tea garden. I used some stencils and black marker to make the sign Millie's Bakery, and then I used my stained glass window coloring book to just cut out a bunch of different little parts and put them around the edges. So each of these is just a little part of a design that was in there, and I just kind of collaged them together to make the Gothic looking sign on top of the Gothic looking building. And I also completed the roof yesterday. I had made a foam board shape for the roof that I just taped together. I think I used some glue on that too to make sure it held. And I cut out the rest of the poster that I had used on the Painted Lady roof in strips of 1.5 inches, and then drew lines on it 3/4 inches, cut those about 2/3 of the way through, and then cut the corners on each of those divisions, and then just glued them onto the roof and in rows, overlapping rows. Put some corner pieces here, and then painted it yesterday. And I'm pretty proud of my paint job because painting is not something I feel like I'm that good at. I watch all these YouTubers like Aira and Queen City Minis, Shira there, and other people who do such an excellent job of weathering things, and that is not my forte. But I just kept slapping different colors of paint on this yesterday, and I think, I kind of understand that that's the key to making things look more realistic, is when you just use a lot of different colors, because that's kind of how real life is. So, and the brown paint that I put on it kind of made the shapes of the shingles kind of balloon out a little bit so that it delineated them, and then I used the paint to also kind of highlight the shapes. So this is I think it's called a mansard roof. I'm using several of those in my village. And then we come down to the building, which I made out of foam board and also a box. And I had made this facade before, so I just adapted it to this space because it used to be straight across, and what I did was I folded it to make it into this corner piece. And I used black duct tape for the like the wooden beams, and then I used some paint on the white parts, and I mixed white and a little brown, and I put some flour in it, and that worked pretty well to give me some texture. I've seen other people put sand in their paint, and I could have done that, and that probably would have given me more texture, but I'm happy with this. The flour kind of made some lumps in it, and so that's how the paint turned out. And So I just kind of, came up with this design looking at pictures online. And then we have the front door, and it's just covered with wood-looking paper, and then it has stickers on it that I had gotten for the hinges, and it has a handle, and I just added that sticker to it. So you can see that the bakery has this window at the top to display the goods, and this is a little gingerbread house that I bought. It's wrapped in plastic to protect it. Then I made these cakes out of clay. It's the kind that never dries, but I don't handle them much, so they hold up pretty well. I have a little pretty doily under each one. Here's another one of the cakes. And I also, back when I had the bakery before, I had made all these things already. I made some bread loaves out of dough. You saw some of these things at the tea garden as well. Here's another bread loaf, another cake, clay cake, and I had also made some little pies with dough, and I just used some little tin holders that I had, and I put a backing, decorative backing of this black with white polka dots. I have used this in the village, and I have also used a turquoise version of it, and it makes kind of a nice decorative look. So we have the front door here, and I'm kind of propping it closed with this sign. So I got this little what are these called? Clipboard at Hobby Lobby, and so I made these signs recently. I had one that I wrote by hand, but it didn't look very convincing, so I used some stencils. We have bread for 15 cents a loaf. We have cookies for 25 cents a dozen. We have pastry for 30 cents for a half dozen, and then pies and cakes on order. So I thought that made a cute sign to put out front. And now let's go inside. So here's Millie. She's our bakery owner and operator, and she is in a dress that I kind of adapted. This was a short dress, and I cut the bottom of it off and turned the top of it into the apron part, added some lace, and then made a long skirt by adding some white material so that it could be a long dress rather than a short one. And she's holding this big bowl, getting ready to make something, and she holds it in her hands because I use these little tiny rubber bands. They're latex ones that people use for their braces and things. I've found those to work really well for my dolls because they're really small, and so I twisted 3 of them together, and then she can hold her bowl. So she is so thrilled to be opening her bakery again, her new and improved bakery. So I will put her aside. Oops, there went her bowl. And so the way I designed this building originally is I made this sidewall. Oh, and I didn't mention I used acetate for the window, and then I used these super thin little black strips to draw the diamond shapes on it. And so I designed it to be able to open it just so you could see inside the bakery better. So here's the interior of the bakery, and I got these little tiles at the dollar store, Dollar Tree, and I thought they would make a very pretty floor for the bakery. And then I've done the walls inside, again with the duct tape, and the flower paint. I feel like it might be nice to have some things on the walls in here. If you have any ideas or suggestions of what would be good to put on these walls, please leave them for me, because I haven't quite figured out what to put on the walls yet. But the bakery's pretty well stocked, even with nothing on the walls. So I'm quite happy with it, and most of this was in it before, so I just needed to put it in the new configuration. So down here we have, this is an overturned clear box, and I used that as a display for these pies, and I made these pies. This one has a lattice top, and I think I put beans inside it, and Mod Podged it as a glaze. That one's like a kind of like a mince pie or a meat pie or something like that. This looks like an apple pie. On top of here, these are my real bottles of sprinkles that I had in the kitchen, and I just glued some little plastic things on top of them, and they're just my real sprinkles, which I keep in here, and then if I need to use some, I can just come get them from here. Except that I forgot they were in here and thought I didn't have sprinkles anymore, but here they are anytime I need them. So I made this this table here. Again, it's a shelf that I've turned over, and I fixed it to the wall with some wire that I threaded through the wall and back out again and twisted to hold it, because it doesn't actually have legs on the front to hold it up. And so then I put these on the sides, and they're just some wrought iron pieces that I got at Hobby Lobby that are very pretty and decorative, but they're not actually doing anything structural here. They're just sitting in the front, but the table is an upside down shelf. So I'll put that on the side. We have another one on this side. On the top of this table, we have the cash register. This is the same cash register you saw in the tea garden, and I just moved it over here. We kind of move it back and forth and share it, because the bakery and the tea garden are connected, because the tea garden sells the bakery goods. So here's a little serving tray that I made with a little plate, and it's on top of, there it is, it's on top of an upside down trophy cup. And this is a little china plate that my mother had, that I guess is like a spoon rest, or it's very tiny, for very small treats. And these are some of the treats that were over at the tea garden, the donuts that my granddaughter made, and a couple of erasers. So that goes there, and I just put those together with that museum putty. So then I have a couple of these display cases. This one has an eraser cupcake in it, but it looks like a small cake for the dolls. This is a very pretty cake. This was also in the tea garden. And then I have these glass canisters in the back and these have cookies in them. These are some cookies that I made with the clay, and then these are some other cookies. I think these are actually made of real cookie dough, and I just keep them enclosed, and they have some star sprinkles on them. Here is another little cake under one of those display pieces. Here's some other cookies and some different green ones. So that's it for that table. Then we have the back wall here, and it has a table, and there are baskets on the floor. This basket has little bags that I made. I made white bags for the long loaves, and then I made little brown bags out of brown paper for the other kinds of bread and cookies and things. I have this basket. I found all these different shaped pretzels at the store, and I thought they looked like perfect little loaves of bread. And so I covered them in Mod Podge, and I used them here in my bakery. So these are this shape, which is very pretty. These are another, like a little long twisted loaf. Back here in the corner, there's a milk can on the floor. And then I have this wire basket. Again, it's not turned upside down because things are sitting inside it. But it's something that you would hang on the wall. A little basket. Trying to get back here. And then I have more. So these are the pretzels that look like baguettes, and they're already in these bags for the customers to take. We have more of the long baguettes in this basket with a little napkin, and then we have this basket, and these are waffle shaped. So those are lots of fun little shapes for anyone who needs bread. 15 cents a loaf. So this back table is it's just two pieces of wood that I attach some dowels to across the bottom, and then I put this plastic tray on top of it. And this is a little silver tray. Actually, I think I'm going to stop and set up my camera so I can pull these things out and show you closer. Well, I had to give my back a little rest because I'm having to bend over and do some contortions to get inside this bakery. But it still seems like the best thing is for me just to hold the camera and go close to the things rather than bringing them out, because some of them are glued down. But I will show you this back table, and here is a wedding cake that I made. Has a little bride and groom on the top, out of clay again. This is another one of those trophies. This time it's turned right side up. It's on top of a beautiful little china plate, and it has another one upside down turned over it. Here are some little silver things that my mother had. They were actually a set. So there's this tray here, and then it had this little bowl and this little bowl on top of it, and they were for salt and pepper. But I have used this as a tray for cookies, And then I've just put some little sprinkles in these bowls. These are some chocolate ones. And they had spoons that went with them, but I don't see them here, so I'm not sure what happened to the little tiny spoons that were for the salt and pepper. But here's some more little things that are erasers, and a little plastic teapot and cup with some little heart-shaped spoons in it. So this is set up for people to come to the bakery. They can get tea and treats here as well as at the tea garden. And then I just wanted to show you that the way I put this building together, I ended up using some long pieces. This was some packaging material that came in a box of something. It's quite sturdy, and so I ended up using it as supports to hold the parts of this, because I have the window cut out, and so it needed a support back there, and I also used it as the support on the corner here to hold up the building. So those came in very handy and worked well. So that's it for my bakery. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I've been doing, and I will have another exciting video next week for you. So till then, thank you so much for coming to visit, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.